Hello friends, and welcome in today. I'm so glad you clicked on this video because today we are taking some old vintage finds that people actually used in their life, and we're going to create some beautiful home decor by simply adding some IOD transfers and inlays. Let's get started. Let's start this DIY with this beautiful, I'm not sure if this is milk glass or not. It had no markings on it, but it's a beautiful white piece anyway. It's a plate. So I'm going to use the IOD Menagerie transfers. They are beautiful. They are from the Spring 2025 collection. And we're going to flip through and see what I think will look beautiful on here. And look at the floral I just passed up. Oh, this one is gorgeous. I'm going to cut it out, leaving all the rest of the book intact so that I can store it and put that aside. I've already cleaned my plate and dried it thoroughly, and then I'm going to take this transfer and peel it from its backing, and it has a vellum type sheet that the transfer is attached to. I'm going to take the little tool that comes with it. It's a little plastic spatula, if you will. And I'm going to just rub over the entire transfer. It has those grid lines which will be able to help you place it if you're trying to place it straight onto something. This is round, no top or bottom, so it didn't really matter to me, but also helps me be able to tell where I've rubbed and not. It peels off very easily on this glass, and then I just burnished it with that vellum piece. Now I'm going to use this velvet ribbon. I'm trying to decide what I want to be the top, what I want to be the bottom. So this is going to be my top. I'm just going to weave this ribbon through the holes, only putting it through the large holes until I get back to where I started. I'm not going to show every step of all of the transfer application because every one of these DIYs, except for one, is going to get transfers. That would be very redundant and boring. So if you're new to transfers, just watch this one over and over until you get it. It's super easy, and you guys are smart, so I know that you're going to get it. But sometimes those kids in the back of the class need to watch it one more time. Ask me how I know. I'm that kid. Okay, this one is complete. Let me know what you think about this one. I've had this vintage sifter sitting around for a few months, quite a few months, just waiting to do something with it. It still operates. Look at that dried flower in there. I don't even remember where I got this. I probably picked it up on Whatnot. And I'm going to use these little florals from this. I believe this is from the St. Germain IOD transfer booklet. That was released in the spring of this year as well. And I'm going to rub it down and making sure that I get in those little ridges, because it's going to transfer beautifully. It just takes a tiny little bit more time, and this has tiny little pieces of the florals, so occasionally you'll have to rub over those little pieces, the edges of them a little bit more, but just pull up your vellum and rub, and pull up the vellum and rub until it's all done. And sometimes I go back at it from a different direction. And then we're going to put the butterfly on, put a piece of chiffon ribbon around the handle, and this little sifter is beautiful to sit around on a book stack or however you decide to decorate with it. You could put some greenery in it. So many possibilities. I have seen my friend Sammy over at Unicorn Dust Designs upcycle so many shoe brushes. So I had to grab a few off of Whatnot, and I think this one is beautiful. I love the color of the wood. I did not want to paint it or anything. So I have these dry rub-on transfers from TDS, which is the DIY Struggle. You may know Brandy from the DIY Struggle. She has her own line of transfers and decoupage papers, I'm trying to think, and stencils. And so she sent me some, and she's such a sweet girl. So go to her website. It'll be linked in the description box. If you are interested in seeing what all she has on her website, I would highly recommend it, as well as the IOD transfers that I get from Sammy at unicorndustdesigns.com. Both of those websites are linked in every video that I create because I believe in those gals and support them 100%. I'm just going to cut out all the little pieces that I want to create this little design on here. That's the beautiful thing about transfers, is you do not have to use them the way they come on the paper. You can cut them up to work with whatever you're working with. I'm going to put some clear wax on it. Look, 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 look. This is beautiful. These, I feel like these were just made for this color. Now I'm going to take some chiffon ribbon and just tie a little knot. And I love the way the chiffon ribbon almost makes a bow. Like you can just cut those ends off, and the way that it flares out, it just looks like a little bow. That was so fun. Let's do another shoe brush. This one actually has the word brown engraved in it. But this time, let's do a paint inlay. Now, I decided I wanted to use the Ditzy Blooms, which is from the newest IOD release. And I'm just going to trace around it. And I did do it a little bit short because I didn't take into consideration that there's a little bit of a blank margin around this inlay. But it's okay. See, at the top I had a little bit extra space, so I just cut a little bit of a flower to put on the top, and it works out fine. So what I did was I cut very closely to both of those. You see there, I cut very closely around them. Now I'm going to spray the painted side of the inlay. Now instead of painting my project, I'm going to use Big Top Sealer. I've done this before and it works great because I don't want to paint this beautiful wood. I want this inlay to be on the wood and look like it was painted on the wood. So I'm going to put a healthy coat on there so so that it stays moist. And then I've got my wet excuse me, inlay over there. That paint is getting nice, and well, I guess I'm just going to paint that stuff on there. Be patient. The good stuff's coming. Now, we're going to take this wet inlay, and I'm going to place it. Now, you have a little bit of wiggle room, but if it's already wet, that paint is already activated, and it will smear if you move it around too much. So make sure you have it pretty much where you want it. Now, I'm going to take a dry cloth, soft cloth, and I'm going to tap, 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 and press that paint inlay into that paint medium, that top coat. Do not rub it because it will smear that paint everywhere. And then I'm getting all that excess water off and just trying to press it in. Now I'm going to take my heat gun and dry it a little bit just to get it started. But I had worked on other projects while I let that completely dry, and you can see how the paper turns white when it's dry. Now, we're going to re-wet it. I know, it sounds a little redundant and like, okay, well, you just dried it to re-wet it, but wait until you see the results. Now, I'm going to wait just about a minute. Wait patiently. And then there's a little bit of water still standing on there, and I'm just going to tap, 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 tap it off, and then I'm going to pull back that paper very gently. Slowly and gently, and I just want you to see this reveal. How beautiful. Friends, there is nothing like it. I created this, and you can too. And when you do that, you'll think, oh my goodness, I made that. Okay, I used a spray sealer. I have never had any luck using a wax on this because then it smears the paint. It activates the paint because it's water-based, so yeah, it does. And I just made a little finger bow and some twine because I thought, well, I've used the chiffon ribbon in every one of these, so let's try one with some twine. So after I sealed it and it was completely dry, I went ahead and put the twine on, and I think it turned out adorable. Let me know what you think about this and if you like the paint inlay. It's a little bit more work than the transfers, but I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Who would think to decorate with an oil can? Well, it's being done, and I'm not the first one to do it. Now, I took these little transfers. These are little pieces I had left over from a previous project. Now, I tried to put these down and they wouldn't stick. And then I thought, there's probably some oil on this can. So I took it over and I used a degreaser. See, it would not stick at all. So I took it over, I used a degreaser on it, and I was afraid I had ruined the transfer, but I did not. Forgot to record putting the transfer on, but I've already showed you how to put them on, so you know how. And I put it on there, put a little piece of ribbon on, and look how adorable this is in a little vignette. This is such a simple, easy DIY. It is an old cowbell. It was very hard to clean up because it's rough, and I was afraid that the transfers were going to be difficult. And I did have to rub a little bit more than usual on the tiny little parts, but it was so well worth it. I did clean it up as best I could, and then I just took my time and patiently rubbed that transfer down and peeled back slowly, and look how that yellow pops on that rusty crusty cowbell. And then I took these two little purple flowers and put one on each side coming around the edge up from the bottom. And look how something old and rusty crusty can just have the artist's touch to it and make it beautiful. Like we're an old rusty crusty sinner, and God's touch can make us beautiful and clean and prepared to go to heaven. I am so grateful and thankful for that. And just burnish it down. It was a little hard to burnish it. I burnished it mostly with my fingers because it was a rough surface and I was afraid it was going to peel back. Now I'm going to wrap this a couple of times around the top because the chiffon ribbon is very flimsy. That's a good word. And this was a very heavy piece. So this is just how it turned out. I love it. Let me know if you would display this in your home. I'm having so much fun decorating with these doorknob plates. And I'm going to use the St. Germain IOD transfer pack, and I chose these beautiful pink florals with lots of little dainty greenery, and I just put it on where I wanted it, and then I just cut around and cut out the pieces. And this is a fine example of how you can use a transfer, cut it all apart, and you would never know that this was all one big floral piece that I cut to pieces. And I'm not going to show you all of the intricate parts of this, but I just put this on there, and then I will just sometimes wrap that transfer around the edge, and sometimes I cut it off. So whatever you feel like doing, whatever works with your project, just make that happen. If you put it around the edge, sometimes it helps it come off the vellum a little bit easier. But there we go. And then I took some of those little greeneries and added them in like they were coming from the outside edge to the center. I took a little pink floral piece that I cut off, some little pieces that I cut off right there. I mean, I just took little pieces and added them here and there, and this thing turned out so pretty. I think this might be my favorite DIY I did today. I'm just adding little pieces where I think they look good. If there was like a really large blank spot, I just added a few little pieces of what most people would think would be trash. Of course, now we're going to use some chiffon ribbon. I'm going to use my tweezers to pull it through that hole. And then both sides, I'm going to do the same exact process. I'm going to tie a knot. I did a double knot so it wouldn't pull through. Make sure it won't pull through. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other side to make a little hanger. So you could hang this on a peg or have it just as a leaner. I just think that little hanger looks pretty on there. Then I took this vintage inspired key that I got a package of them on Amazon. They are in my Amazon store if you're interested. Then I'm going to take the Dixie Belle Patina paint and spray, and I'm going to use the bronze, and I'm going to dab it all over really good, both sides, and let it dry. Then I'm going to go back in with the second coat, and I like to dab it on because it gives it a little bit more texture, so it looks like, rusted metal. That's what we're doing in case you're new to my channel and you haven't seen this process. I do it quite often. I love it. I'm in love with it. Now I'm going to slide it off so we can spray it. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad you're here today. Be sure you're subscribed and go ahead and check out other videos that you haven't seen. If you like this one, you will probably like more videos. I'm just going to spritz it down really good and blow dry it a little bit. There's still a little bit of that on the pan, and so I just kind of tossed it around in it, sprayed it a little more, and then set it out in the sun. It was a very, very hot sunny day in Texas, so I just sat it outside in the sun, and it got really like a rusty, crusty old key. Then I'm just going to take a little piece of embroidery thread, embroidery floss, to tie it to the right underneath that knot to let it hang down. And this beautiful little project is complete. Let me know which one of the projects in this video today was your favorite, if you can pick one, or maybe you don't like any of them, and that's okay too, because we all have different tastes. Thank you, friends, for watching this video. Be sure that you give it a thumbs up and leave a comment in the comment section below, because I like to know that you were here and connect with you. But most of all, I want you to remember to be still and know that He is God.